Thank you.
Put on our cultural attires and witness this special occasion. And I know our guest speakers and our intelligent students that are found in John Pickering will entertain you people. And I am pretty sure that you are going to learn a lot. So those of you outside there that are not planning to come and grace this great occasion, we are encouraging you and telling you to come and see what John Pickering have for you people today. Their students are just wow. And mashallah, the event will soon commence.
Greetings viewers, we are yet again celebrating another historic day in commemoration of the African Liberation Day, which was formed in Addis Ababa. As we know, it was the organization of the African Union, where we have different leaders within the four corners of Africa, where they came together in trying to fight for a common good. That is the one Africa in which we have been advocating. So
this song is for you guys. When we say African Liberation Day.
Good afternoon to you all. I want to welcome all of you to this important gathering, as today marks a very important day in the history of Africa, that is the African Liberation Day, that we all know John Pickering. Every year, this time, we always gather here to celebrate the African Liberation Day. On behalf of the school administration, I would like to welcome all of you, including the teachers, the students, all the cultural groups here present, the choir groups, the scout band present here, the existing clubs that we have here. I want to welcome all of you to this important gathering. And special welcome goes to our guest speaker, who is Honorable Bakari Baji. I also want to welcome Mr. Mansour Job, Director of Legal and Investigation, National Human Rights Commission. Mr. Mansour Job, you are welcome to John Pickering Upper and Senior Secondary School. I also want to welcome Mr. Babukar Sen, Chief Logistic Officer, National Human Rights Commission. Mr. Babukar Sen, you are welcome to John Pickering Upper and Senior Secondary School. I would like to welcome the media house here present, the students, and everyone. I also want to welcome Ibrahim Seka, who is also in the mix here, and all the cultural groups and the students here present. Like I said, I always ask this question: as Africans, are we liberated? Are we liberated as Africans? Are you sure? Now, today, the theme of this program or this celebration is Borderless Africa. Now, our history taught us that in 1884, the partition of Africa, European nations, they converged at Berlin in 1884, where Africa was divided among European nations. Now, during this time, Africa was not colonized. The Europeans, they moved into Africa to colonize Africa. That brings us these political divisions and boundaries between nations. Today, the theme here is we want to have united Africa, where there will be no boundary between one African nation and the other. Because when there is boundary between African nations, it always interrupts our trade, and this brings low economic development in Africa. So we want to see a united Africa where goods can be transported from one part of Africa to the other without any restriction. And I believe we are going to learn a lot here. The culture of various ethnic groups will be displayed, because we have a lot of cultural groups here who are going to display the culture of our people. We have to be liberated, as we say, African Liberation Day. So I want to thank you all, and once again, on behalf of the school administration, I want to welcome everyone who is present here. And I believe by the end of the day, we're going to learn a lot from this gathering. So I thank you all.
They are one of the most protective tribes when it comes to preservation of culture. They have social structure that clearly shows how they were and still living together. They migrated to the Gambia in the early 14th century from Mali. Their migration clearly shows how effective they are in the African communities. They are people who make an honest living. Their reason for migration in the Senegambia region is as follows: political, social, and economic sources. Politically, they were attracted by the land to create kingdoms to rule over the people, since they have no opportunity in the Mali to do so. Socially, they want to socialize with the people of Senegambia. They want to socialize with the people of Senegambia to create better life by marriage and better agricultural land for farming. Economically, they come to the Senegambia region for trade to obtain revenue through barter and develop themselves. This group is very protective, hardworking. They preserve their culture at all costs. We want to show you one of their oldest culture to be practiced, so be patient with us as we take you through the Manyo Bito of the Manika tribe. Whole boat. Ala nene okay. Ala nene kana kumbo dindima 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 asana nene kana kumbo dindima al umi nene kana kumbo dindima dindima kana kumbo dindima ala nene kana kumbo dindima ala nene kana kumbo 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 asangare nene kana kumbo alumi nene kana kumbo alkadi nene kana kumbo ala nene kana kumbo dindima mañole ngal kontong Sambinala Kamanyul ke kawandi kadum bafalo wala nyam ida de ke man la ko dabono iwa min kela iwa mala nyamin ani nyanta kuwal min kela ima nyanta kuwal min kela ala bar mba kuma sere ning duwala min keda a'udzu billahi minash shaitani rajim ngalaban ning alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin Amin. Bimin lungolati mi alonko amin nyanta ngolati bi lungo aneta
aneta phone wala komi abatara history la kono bila wolungati bila sita samalong bilong kononong bilong Baldanila na mayo kendol mayo yaman diade suturo sabarolong munyolong mayo ya ikakuja malla sikide itade kemaya bara bemi munyoni sabarolati baldanila naltata ali munyoni sabarota al kemalie ani ibamal al binki al kema binkil ani al kema doko mal aliyebe muta mo kilingoti al kanake lan setodi barale ke ben ngoti mi yalon ko awa badi ya chokila mbal danila ngawala soto mami falale say mandana asul manulie denen sitasi. But before that, ganing kandong ale ko tenke kamurung tapos stage kan mbango ko mandila min keta fat sauti pour ale nanang ay mon la manyo nyarol ning kuwal faaliye ala baraka namanyole yo namanyol ndinkendol ni ya bilungo sitale bimulun kuma yarin bayati lungo mi yalan ko ate murun nanan ko tenke foni nga sata al nyaba nyim baso min najang nga fene purale siakan al sita kan nyamin bilungo na tata kemaya al se siwo nyama manyo manka yaay lati ana manjana kala yaay lati muso ni tate kema yaay ka sabarle e ka sabatile munyoni sabaro mu ku mayarim balati mbanyim fitara ngo dilala ka tandala ko muso anyanta seniyalal ni tate kema ya isa fita e seniya kanake musumorenti kalama ni aden ka dinna manyolla ku kuma yarin bale ba kuma manyo ni tate kema ya nyenta ke kema bunya ya horoma ya badingol bunya ye horoma lungo minay be kema disrespect la wo lungo kalama ba jolonna anu na jolonta aba teelal ni aje lumina ila kalama jolonta teta isalon ko yoku jaw bale ke kemal isita ya hakadan nga wala sa tamba min falale Musik.
What is next?
The invisible truth. And here it goes. See the Gambia in debt because of the multiplication of corruption, the division of peace, the subtraction of unity, and the addition of injustice. This circulates into my circulatory system, but nobody dare to digest it into their digestive system. Then how can we breathe and our respiratory system works? It's because we are born in a system called corruption. So why won't you bum bum? Just like the sound of a drum which says boom boom. The people at Bundung hear the sound of the tantam. Their phones ring ting ting just like a ringtone. The Jingdeng Jehuman says drive a bum bum. Because she is held to a destination where she should sell her child symbol in order for the Dimbaya not to sleep in hunger and starvation. So it is my symbol of authority. To bring this reality into our ability that this corrupt society with bad mentality and capability that no one shall have the opportunity to be at the higher level of tranquility. See this high capacity without no proper equality. When the Gambian rise and be nice, I mean Geminize and organize like a paradise, the people want like a mice for justice to be realized, organized and advertised. When the Gambia becomes like Gambia decades ago, Minana Teri Malkasi Kakacha Fuega Kaka. This reminds me of Sola So Primiso Lebolupe among Nafida. Instead, our leaders let corruption lead to destruction. So let their contribution be a good imagination toward this humble nation. They sold the liberty of our nation for money and connection. See, this is corruption. I am an African, proudly a Gambian. The home for me and you where Benachin Domada Yasa are cooked by our mama with a smile of lullaby. Our staple food is mano, which is put into the Bolivar. We sit together and eat as one big fire. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Principal, Vice Principal, members of the teaching and non-teaching staff, and of course our honorable guest from the PLO Lumba Foundation, the Gambia chapter, Mr. Ibrahim H. Seka, who served as the country director for the Gambia, and of course our guest from the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Mansour Job, who is the legal director of legal and investigation of the National Human Rights Commission, and of course Mr. Bubakar Singh, the chief logistics officer of the National Human Rights Commission. I recognize your presence. My name is Abdullah Silla, as rightly introduced, and I'm here in representation of the John Pickering Alumni Association. This is indeed a great day which marked the culmination of the celebration of African Liberation Day, and of course the launching of the Human Rights Club of John Pickering Upper and Senior Secondary School and the Clubs and Students Union. It is indeed very important that these two events or three events are merged together. That is the Human Rights Club, the Clubs and Students Union, and of course the commemoration of the African Liberation Day, and on a very important topic, that is promoting a borderless Africa. When we look at Africa, you will realize that we are demarcated into pieces that was set between the European countries, which includes the Portuguese, the French, and the British. And this was made on their common interest, or on their singular interest, to exploit and to explore the resources of Africa. And this was made in their interest in order for them to harness the manpower of the Africans. Not only their manpower, but of course their resources as well. And not only their manpower and resources, but also for them to have markets for their finished goods. So Africa is the most endowed continent on the planet, but yet we are categorized as the poorest. We are categorized as the core periphery. We are categorized as the third world. And yet, we call ourselves a liberated continent. We call ourselves an independent state. We call ourselves a sovereign state. Yet our foreign policies are always influenced in the interests of the West. Yet our constitutions are manipulated by the West. And yet our decisions can never hold until and unless we consulted the West in order for them to give their opinion, which is quite appalling. It is high time, as we reflect on our gains, as we reflect on our liberations, and as we reflect on our achievements as Africans, we ask ourselves few questions. Are we economically free? Are we politically free? Are we militarily free? Are we technologically free? In the absence of Kwame Nkrumah, who is no more with us to give us sharp ideologies on how Africa should shape their future. In the absence of Julius Nyerere, who should give us economic ideas on how we could be self-sufficient. In the absence of Patrice Emery Lumumba, who should instill on us the bravery, the boldness to die in the cause of defending our sovereignty and our independence. In the absence of Thomas Sankara, who should instill on us the spirit of Pan-Africanism and the spirit of nationalism. We should have asked ourselves questions beyond just celebrating the African liberty, but to ask ourselves honest questions that what should be done in order for us to have $1 equals to $1, in order for us to have €1 equals to $1, in order for us to have £1 sterling equal to $1, in order for Africa to adopt one currency, in order for Africa to adopt one government, in order for Africa to be referred to as the United States of Africa. That way, we will gain the power we ought to have. We will gain the respect we deserve. We will gain the attention we needed. But then, without which, with all the resources that we have, with all the minerals, with all the crude oil, with all the bauxite, with all the diamonds, with all the gold, with all the ivories, yet Africa is still the poorest country. Now we should ask ourselves questions as to why this is happening. When Europe was devastated, after Europe going through 30 years of religious war, after Europe going through decades of tribal war, Europe became completely devastated. Europe became poor. Europe was in the verge of crumbling. Now they came to Africa in the name of establishing trade relationship with the African man. But then along the way, we were blindfolded by religion, we were blindfolded and we were told that the white man is superior while the black man is inferior. That way, until tomorrow, we remain with that mentality, we remain with that ideology. Until and unless we redefine what it means to be an African, until and unless we instill the spirit of Pan-Africanism, nationalism, and patriotism in ourselves, then Africa will continue to punch, her way. And thank you so very much.
Life that you love to live. I want to vomit these words from my heart before it is late. Before I am served in the circles of the grave, that I live in a generation that I feel so lost. A generation where morality is mystery and humanity causes this interest. Making sense is history as every sense rests in the lenses of those people that want to prove. I live in a generation where the pride of cruel temptation is at the tense of our senses, when it runs in our veins, not in ones, not in twos, but intense and intends to bend our lines of intensity. I live in a generation where gunshots are nobody fears. Do you know what are the fears? Screenshots. For these are the guns of our days that are shot to peel our heart and fall our short. I live in a generation where everything flow, you don't need to ask, just roll with the flow. Manela waxtaan sax melni xulo. Li tax dunda tar baken waja rot yaram wowu yax nop sagar xeynde sañ soxor jitu mané jamma supp di ñaan ñu saxal ko. Waye seytaane tok di ni yoy. Fitna tol suñu soos aduna gëna tiis su nafsu baken gëna tiis. Mané ciow ak jaw dëgg dama suñu ruuxu gëm-gëm xaddi muñ weddi mané sañ sekki may banku. Alalu aduna firndel suñu taxaw ci jamono mané def tañu mbaj duñu mbaj taj mané bon ak soxor bay suñu tool li jurañu tafaar ak kasaara kon jot nañu jom soppi sippi ibi bunti baax si biir ak si biti mané fii ak si biti jàmmaar loo ñu futti jàmmoo ñu indi bennoo doon suñu dindi ndax jàmma doon luñu gindi. Let's get back to the chain of life and find them see life. Let's open the gates of consciousness ndax ñun daal neene nit ak niw rek leen kon ne leen yaatal di taatal ndax asamaan si taw jàmm sax mel ne leen dem sox ndax leer fenk ndax life bi nit na dafa tar mag ak ndaw yëpp leer yi boole sar si gëm-gëm bu amul benn leer te ko fi wax ñu ne amut yar tey man maa ko fi leeral kon su la neexul jëlal yar Lady Mento yow icon point kon su la neexul jëlal
John Pickering Junior and Senior Secondary School students, members of the media here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you all. I didn't make it due to some other matters. It is my honor to be here to join the rest of my colleagues in commemorating Africa Day or Africa Liberation Day. Today is a day of reflection in order to assess the gains that have been made, identify the shortcomings or the challenges that we face as a continent, and forge ahead in order to build an Africa that we want. It is an honor, definitely, for me to be here this afternoon, as I said earlier, and today gives us an opportunity to recall and reflect on the gains made by African leaders. African journey towards equality, justice, and the right to self-determination. This has been spearheaded by very courageous African leaders, namely Nelson Mandela. We also have Julius Nyerere and so many other African leaders who have really contributed immensely towards the liberation of Africa. And African countries began to enjoy independence in the early 1960s. But where are we? Africa still continued to struggle. Africa continued to be one of the poorest continents in the world, despite its rich mineral resources and manpower. Today gives us that opportunity to look at what the African people are going through, because the day also creates space for students like you to embrace unity in diversity. We have seen the various exhibitions that have been done since morning, looking through the Mandinka culture, the Manjaka culture, the Wolof, so on and so forth. So this really reflects what Africa is. Today's gathering is a step, therefore, in the right direction, and the students here present must use the opportunity to connect, learn, and collaborate with each other and become part of a larger movement of the type that we had during the time of Nelson Mandela and others for the promotion of African unity. We have discussed about the theme for today, which is borderless Africa. Africa was divided into pieces like a piece of cake by the European nation. And there is really strength in our unity, and there is strength in our diversity. But despite all the progress that have been made in the early 1960s by very renowned African Pan-Africanists, African leaders today, surprisingly, betray or are still betraying what our forefathers really stood for. If you look at African continent today, the continent is being characterized by a series of challenges, ranging from instability, insurgencies, anti-terrorism everywhere, military coups, anti-democratic forces, dictatorship, just to name but a few. These are some of the challenges that continue to visit our continent. Some of the African leaders also have subjected their citizenry into dictatorship by violating their fundamental rights and freedoms, and thereby depriving them of the right to self-determination. But despite these challenges, there is hope in Africa. looking at the African people and the African children. So the students of John Pickering Senior Secondary School really represent the future of hope for the African people. Nelson Mandela told us before that he had a dream, and the dream was for the realization of the African unity. And that dream we should always live by. And one of the ways in which we can overcome the challenges that we are faced with today is to revitalize our education system, to have an education system that is relevant to African context and that is also relevant to the ever-emerging changes in terms of information technology, so on and so forth. We are now talking about AI, we are talking about the era of robots, and it is important that our education system, our syllabus in this school is enhanced and modernized to meet up to the expectation of the modern challenges. Otherwise, we will continue to work on analog, and that will going to deter our development as a continent in Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, education is very, very important because it is a cornerstone to our development, and therefore we must invest in education. And this, I will call on the government to invest more in education by providing the necessary infrastructure, by ensuring that the schools are well equipped, and also the provision of teachers and their continuous training for better service delivery and for better education system. This is the only way in which we'll be able to overcome our challenges. We must remember, as we celebrate Africa Day or Africa Liberation Day, we must remember that Africa is not French, no, Africa is not British, nor is it American, nor is it Russian. Africa is for African, and we must jealously safeguard our identity in order to be able to make Africa proud again. Despite the challenges, we must be hopeful. The Honorable Speaker mentioned earlier that it is only an African that is a foreigner in Africa and every other place you go to. And this is because of lack of unity within the African continent, lack of brotherhood. We have not been each other's brother, keeper, and we have not been each other's sister's keeper. And that is one of the major challenges why the African continent continue to suffer. I will use this opportunity to encourage all of you here, particularly the students, to continue to work very hard to make sure that you imbibe the spirit of Africanism, to ensure that you inculcate the spirit of Pan-Africanism in order to liberate Africa from total independence. We are still not freely, we are still not independent because of the practices of neo-colonialism, and this has been mentioned by the Honorable earlier this morning. So in order for us to be fully independent, we must be ready to ensure that we strive in all the various sectors in terms of technology, in terms of agriculture, so that we are able to feed ourselves adequately. That's the only time we'll be able to gain full independence and true independence. I would like to end by encouraging all of you to keep the momentum. And I will also want to use this opportunity to congratulate the school for the establishment and launching of a human rights club, which is very, very essential and indeed a step in the right direction. I would like to assure the management and school that the National Human Rights Commission will continue to partner, especially with the Human Rights Club that has been established in terms of capacity building, in terms of training, in terms of discussions and engagement on how to utilize what Africa has to become one of the most productive continents in the world. Africa is very rich in terms of manpower, in terms of natural resources, but African leaders are really betraying the African people, and it is up to us to make sure that we work and get the Africa that we want. I would like to thank you once again for the invitation, and I want to wish you a very happy celebration, and I pray that we all have an Africa where every boy, girl, man or woman would enjoy their fundamental rights and freedoms to the fullest without any forms of hindrance. On that note, I thank you once again, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Manyo kinaka, manyo ang kinali. Makinin na manyo kay makawa.
Ma ko ngana nyama ona kine ana ko kompeke kano gondi anta maro igana ana so mimbani an min so mike ona ro kamare ke awarindini ona sukuru bucina lay ana kemmini so mike tawnu kolle ke ana gon kagare ke kolle be warta gon so minya na ken nogon ke manyo bega tawnu kun warina akina kine manyo ngangongono ongana ande ngankina bange anankina raga tanki tempillinga anna ma respect anna family lu kusu respect family ke angana nyi mo gombe anna continue kundunga anga ma ho kapay ma ho takande ngaka sukunyi ni kata konda ka jammu.
Thank you very much. That was wonderful.
That's wonderful. You know what she was saying. I think in many other traditional ways is how we do. She said, in the Salahules culture, if they are doing their manual video, let me say it like that, if they bring their manual, before they will give the woman to the husband, the woman will spend 1 week inside a room. When she enter on a Friday, she normally don't come out until the next Friday. And after that, inside the room for the 1 week, she don't eat rice, she don't eat meat, she don't eat anything sweet. She only ate this porridge, morning, afternoon, and night. In addition to that, if they bring you in your husband's house, the 1 week, your husband is not going to join you in the room until the 1 week is completed. After the 1 week, when you come on Friday, the following Friday that you're supposed to go out is that day that your husband is joining you. That's all what we have. She add to the wife, as far as you come in a family, the way you meet the family, if you cannot add nothing there, don't reduce nothing there. That's the advice. And normally, that's what we expect from everybody. Thank you.
What do you want to say? Hey! What do you want to say? What do you want to say? Dear Africa, I hope your children are feeding from your fruit. I hope education system is not only talking about how to know the best, but know how beautiful our complexion are. I hope your children are taught about the norms, values, and traditions of Africa. Dear Africa, I know you are disappointed. I know I should be using the word hope, but this is something that we are no more hoping for, because it is happening. A step should be taken or everything about black will become fake. Eyelashes are fake, nails are fake, hairs are fake, even colors are becoming fake, so tell me what are we left with black? Dear Africa, I can see and feel your pain that runs through veil, but I can see you smile because you use the veil to cover your face with the pain. Dear Africa, I know you have been strong for so long, all to see your children grow to become a better African child in the future. I can see you are trying to make your children the best of whatever they are. You make us realize that we can't all be captain, we must crew. We can't all be captain, we must crew. There is something for all of us. There's a big work to do and best to do. That we can do is what is near us. If you can't be the farmer, then be a hunter. If you can be a gatherer, then be a forest controller. If you can be the flower, then be a flower controller. If you can't be the moon, then be the star. It isn't by size you win or lose. Be the best for Africa. See, my friend, if you want to see the beauty of nature, then go to the forest. The big gigantic tree with its size doesn't mean the dropping leaf have no use. It isn't by size you can add a beauty on a picture. But as far as you and I are considered, we are not a dropping leaf, neither are we the giant tree. Instead, we are conscious human beings with possibilities. So let's come together and add beauty to Africa. Dear Africa, I want to see you there to the sky. It's like the twinkle little star, so the whole world will know your pain doesn't go in vain. So let's come together and add beauty to Africa. Thank you. Let's come together.
Thank you, Mr. Silla, for that wonderful brief explanation about my humble self. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, teachers, and also students, today as we gather to commemorate the African Liberation Day, which is May 25th, we embark on a journey of remembrance, reflections, and renewal. This day, steeped in the blood, sweat, and tears of generations past, serve as a poignant reminder of African tumultuous history, a history marked by struggles, a history marked by resilience, and a history marked by triumph. In the corridors of our time, we encounter the stark contrast of Africa's narrative, a tale of oppression, a tale of liberation, and a tale of renewal. This day step in the blood and also the freedom of the despair and hope. It is a narrative shaped by the relentless pursuit of justice, dignity, and self-determination, a narrative that continues to unfold events as we stand here today. In the crucible liberation, we confront the paradox and contradiction that define Africa's journey. On one hand, we witness the enduring legacy of colonialism, a legacy of exploitation, a marginalization and division that continues to cast a shadow over the continent. On the other hand, we celebrate and tenacity Africa's people, a resilient forge in the fires of struggle, a resilient forge tempered by trials of history and fueled by dreams of better tomorrow. As we commemorate the African Liberation Day, we confront the forces of oppression and injustice. They continue to plague our continent. We call to challenge the system of exploitation and the system of dominance within our continent. That seeks to keep Africa circling in chains of poverty, ignorance, and dependency. We call to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters across Africa and throughout the diaspora. united in our shared struggle for liberation and empowerment as African. In the annal history of Africa, liberation struggles we find inspiration, stories of courage, sacrifice, and heroism that have shaped our collective destiny. From the battlefield of resistance to the halls of diplomacy, Africans across the continent and throughout the diaspora have risen in defiance of tyranny and oppression, determined by to reclaim the rightful place in the world. Yet, even as we celebrate the African Liberation Day today at jumping here, we know that we are celebrating what we call victory of the past. We are mindful of our challenges that lie ahead. We are mindful of the deep-rooted inequality and justice that continue to plague our societies, threatening to undermine the progress we made as an Africans. We are mindful of the urgent need to address the root causes of the conflict which are currently happening in Africa, the poverty which is currently happening in Africa, and also the underdevelopment which is currently happening in our continent, which the Gambia is not an exception. On this day, which is the African Liberation Day, I urge all of us to embrace the spirit of Pan-Africanism in ourselves, a spirit that transcends borders, language, and also cultures. Uniting Africans everywhere in a common cause. Let us reject the false dichotomies of the East and the West, North and the South, and instead embrace our common identity as African. We have to be proud Africans, bound together by the bonds of history, heritage, and also humanity, which Africans are known for. In concluding my speech, I would like to leave you with the word of the famous Pan-African who is Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, the visionary leader whose dream of uniting Africa was a true cause, who said, "We face neither east nor west, we face forward, and for forward we shall progress, backward we shall never progress." Let us do face forward with courage, conviction, and solidarity as we chart towards a brighter for Africa and its people. And together with the determination, we shall make sure that Africa rise and Africa shall rise again. Thank you.
Afrique. Le matin de la liberté. Afrique. De la campagne, la savane et la forêt, à la peine Afrique. Voici Afrique. Commandant de la liberté. Afrique. Voici nos campagnes, des villes, à la paix de la patrie. Voici Afrique. Commandant de la liberté. Afrique. De la mer à la campagne, la savane et la forêt, à la paix de l'Afrique. Voici Afrique. Commandant de la liberté. Afrique. Avancez, Afrique. l'Afrique rassemblée, fibre de corvette, épaule contre épaule, mais plus que frères, Sénégal est debout. Unissons la mer et les sources, unissons la steppe et la forêt. Salut Afrique, mère. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, Mr. Silva, pour cette aimable prestation de mes élèves. Je ne saurais partir sans dire merci à mes élèves. Merci beaucoup pour être en compagnie avec moi. D'abord, bonjour à tout le monde. Monsieur le principal de l'école de John Pickering, monsieur le vice-président de l'école de John Pickering, monsieur le comptable, Mr. Davo, mesdames la secrétaire générale de l'école de John Pickering, chers collègues professeurs de l'école, honorables invités. De 1950 à nos jours, l'Afrique voit naître ce jour-ci. Ce jour-ci qui nous rappelle de qui nous sommes et de ce que nous devons être pendant des années à venir. De 1970, c'était la fin de l'indépendance africaine et nous serons partis sans dire merci à nos héros qui est comme Léopold Sédar Senghor, Patrice Lumumba et beaucoup tant d'autres. Aujourd'hui, c'est un jour pour nous, le club français de l'école de John Pickering Senior Secondary School. C'est donc aussi en allégresse, en contentement et en victoire. Un jour qui consacre l'unité nationale, l'unité de toutes les ethnies et tous les enfants de ce pays qui est la Gambie. Pour la paix, la fraternité est entre les peuples. Un jour qui marquera un nouveau pas en avant de l'Afrique vers un avenir meilleur. En ce jour si important, d'ailleurs ma pensée se tourne vers nos différentes ethnies. Nous sommes amis, famille et collègues. Il ne devait pas y avoir de frontières entre nos ethnies, communément appelées en anglais borderless between ethnics. Nous savons tous qu'il n'y a pas de dignité pour ceux qui attendent tous les autres. Le club de français de cette école qui est John Pickering est conscient que cette journée de libération africaine ne serait qu'un leurre si nous ne pourrions pas l'assurer dans la réalité. Nous sommes décidés à lui donner une existence qui ne soit pas seulement de façade. Le monde en ce jour et le pays de Gambie attend de nous que nous lui fournissons la preuve de notre sérénité et de notre capacité à nous diriger vers nous-mêmes. Enfin, je suis pour ma part persuadé que c'est par la coopération ethnique qu'on peut contribuer dans une grande mesure au bien-être des habitants de ce pays qui est la Gambie. Je ne saurais terminer sans dire un grand merci à tous les élèves et aux professeurs de John Pickering Senior Secondary School, mais plus particulièrement à Mr. Mandiang, le principal, M. Kamara, le vice-principal, M. Sissé, et M. Dabo, M. Fati, ensuite M. Djadjo. Merci aussi à mon ami, mon frère, mon compagnon, M. Mandiang. Un grand merci à vous, M. Mandiang, pour avoir cette idée d'organiser cet événement qui a vu le jour aujourd'hui pour nous, le club de français, et qui vient de réussir. Pour nous, déjà, c'est la réussite. Merci beaucoup à mon ami, mon frère, mon ami d'enfance, Moussa Silva, pour cette prestation matrimoniale, merveilleuse et exceptionnelle. Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup, chers élèves. Je ne saurais terminer sans vous dire merci pour cette prestation, sans défaillance. Je suis vraiment content, je suis vraiment content et je suis très ému. Merci à vous. Merci beaucoup à tout le monde.
The Banjagos originated from Guinea-Bissau. Their migration to the Gambia is not captured in history and the world at large. Their main social economic activity is farming. They engage themselves in crop and animal farming. In crop, they deal with rice and palm oil tapping, etc. In animals, they rear pigs and small ruminants. They form the half population of the Gambia in Sanyang, Kabelke and Their belief and attitude made them to be loved and respected in the Gambia, for they are just and kind to the people. Moreover, they perform ritual acts in naming ceremony and wedding ceremony by pouring alcohol to the ground to consult the ancestors for guidance. Lastly but not the least, they dislike anyone who trespass them. As it states, Manjago du tooñ, waaye man soma tooñee suma xeex du jeex. This slogan is given to them by the people of their good, charitable and believed to be transferred in peace, to promote peace and unity in the community. I thank you all.
Thank you, Gurangom. Come. Thank you, Gurangom, for that.
Singa On a hot day in August 1963.